Okay guys, chapter 18. Welcome down the Kate Gosselin rabbit hole. This chapter is entitled The World According to Kate, Part 2. Kate Gosselin was hyper-focused on turning herself into the next Martha Stewart. But she actually thought she could be a lot better than Martha Stewart because Martha didn't have 8 kids. And that was part of what Kate wanted to incorporate into her branding, was not only that she was this amazing homemaker, but that she was a great mom to so many multiples. But in this chapter, Hoffman lets us know that Kate's first foray into a type of activity that could be seen as very Martha Stewart-esque was creating a cookbook, and it did not go well for her, not at all. And I was totally unaware of this.
Fries, macaroni and cheese, pizza, cheese sticks.
Cold pizza is the bomb.
Hey, Steve wants 2 pieces of pizza right now. Hand it over. You guys can eat salads. Give him his pizza.
1 piece left.
Give it to him.
Kate Gosselin decided to go ahead and work with a Christian book publisher called Van to release her first cookbook, which she thought would be a bestseller, called Love is in the Mix, Making Meals into Memories. So we've talked extensively about how Kate Gosselin spends all of her time like in the kitchen and away from the kids. But as we said, like everybody has a different way of being the heart of their home. And allegedly, according to Kate, her way is to be an amazing cook and really churn out healthy and delicious meals for her family. But
That was rude.
What was rude?
He reserved it last night.
Nobody told me. She's bringing it. I think plateless.
Oh my gosh, that is disgusting.
Who cares?
Who handed it to you?
God forbid. Sorry.
what was crazy about all of this is that the book ended up being canceled in its tracks. And they didn't cancel it because the timing was bad or there was some kind of like issue going on with the family. The real problem was because they discovered that the recipes in Kate's cookbook, a lot of them were just plagiarized.
Literally, you handed it to a kid to hand out without wrapping it in foil.
It's not a big deal.
Why are you letting them eat our lunch at this hour?
It was realized that the recipes Kate had submitted to the publisher of the book, they had come from various sources, and she just changed the names, the title of the recipe, and tried to pass them off as her own. Now, I do find this interesting because I am sort of like, wouldn't that be the case when you have gotten the recipe from someone? I think it would be rare that you would have your own recipes, but I'm not trying to write a book about recipes, so maybe you have to change the ingredients in some kind of way. But basically, people were up in a roar about everything that was going on with the Goslins to begin with, and they felt like it would be a really bad idea to go forward with releasing this book when they realized that she was going to be heavily criticized for essentially plagiarizing the recipes.
This is all we have to eat for
There's
lunch.
like 11 things of mac and
There was
cheese.
4 pieces. It wasn't gonna last anyway.
It was for the adults, for lunch.
Well, then she had mine.
Sorry.
I thought this was hilarious because insiders who are part of the Gosselin family inner circle came forward and said that Kate is an absolute nightmare in the kitchen, and all she does is make a huge mess. That's what an insider told Hoffman. Now, I guess there was some kind of like pre-release of the book to some of Kate Gosselin's fans, and immediately right away, people started writing all over, posting comments on the websites, posting comments to the publisher, and on a blog that the book and the recipes, so much of it was plagiarized. And the publisher immediately realized what was going on and decided to axe the official release of Kate's book.
Everybody can enjoy their lunch. Steve gets none. Great. That pisses me off.
Are you
I
okay,
laid it out
Steve?
last night.
Do you want a mac and cheese?
No, he doesn't eat macaroni and cheese or salad.
You're acting
That's
like
my
Maddie.
whole point.
All right, so Hoffman's letting us know like one big issue that he took with the TLC series is that because Kate wanted to be known as like a Martha Stewart, the series really tried to depict Kate as extremely organized, and that was like a big part of her life, and that John was kind of like this lazy slob who she was essentially taking care of, and this was sort of part of the whole branding of the show in general.
Do you want any of these for the others or no?
Yeah, because you'll eat them.
I'm not eating anything.
In your fridge, but
Okay,
fries,
there were
please.
4 pieces of pizza.
Fries,
And you
please.
said they were...
And Hoffman just wants us to know that as like a friend and a confidant for John Gosselin, he's been around him for, quite a long period of time. And he says, like, I go over to his house, we hang out all the time. And basically, and this was after John was divorcing Kate. So he's living like in an apartment. And Hoffman says that much to his surprise, he found that John Gosselin is a neat freak. Quote unquote, almost to the point of being compulsive. Every one of his living spaces I have seen has been very well organized and clean. His clothes are always folded and ironed and put away. I don't even do that. His rugs are vacuumed daily. There are never any dishes in the sink. This is like the opposite of who I am. He has drawer organizers, closet organizers, and cabinet organizers. His pantry is organized. His windows are clean. His car is always spotless inside and outside. And he always has new air fresheners in place. Wow. He couldn't live with me. Like, he'd be disgusted by me entirely.
For the adults,
Fries, please.
right?
I want the salad. Yes.
Okay,
He didn't want Maddie handing a piece of pizza out with her dirty
didn't
hands
ask
out
her
the
to.
window. She did.
Oh, and it's such a travesty.
I am more than happy to leave right now if you're gonna act like this.
And Hoffman says, guess who does all that cleaning and organizing? Well, of course, it's John Gosselin himself. He doesn't hire anyone to do it for him. And Kate's not coming over and doing that on the daily after they've been in this horrible state and divorced each other.
Actually, we
You act
talked
like
about.
we haven't done nothing.
I do
Jamie
not.
didn't want any, I don't want any. We will survive. Pizza
There are 4
is not a freaking big deal. I'm so sick of your dramatics.
And Hoffman basically argues that Kate, she wanted people to perceive her as a neat freak, as extremely organized, but she actually isn't. It was John who had a lot of those components to his personality. And Kate decided to usurp and take those components of his personality and make it part of her own on TV. So instead of her being the one who cleans and organizes and keeps everything nice, she was really just the one who dictated to John how she wanted things done, and then had him do it, had the volunteers do it, had people that come over and work for them do it. She did kind of have that overarching, like, I'm in charge authority about how she wanted everything to be, but she wasn't completing the actual tasks of cleaning and organizing the house and the family. Hoffman lets us know that he has been into Kate's like personal space, her personal areas, her home, her car, whatever. And he felt that they were nowhere near as clean or organized as everything that he saw with John. Hoffman says that Kate has piles of clothes on top of suitcases and laundry and piles waiting for someone else to do it. She piles up her dishes until someone else does them. She feeds the kids on paper plates so she can just throw them away. So much for her being green. He says that it's absolute nonsense that Kate also tried to portray on the TV show that they're very like environmentally aware and friendly, and that was just not something that he saw at all within her home. Now, granted, John is taking care of one person and Kate is dealing with 8 children. So I don't know if Hoffman was really taking that into account. I mean, the kids were visiting John, but I don't think they were like staying in his apartment from what I understand. Hoffman tells us that if you really want to understand what Kate's domestic skills are like and how she has this really horrible temperament about having to do anything domestic, go back and look at scenes from Kate Plus 8 and this episode called The RV Trip. Now that is an episode that I played in one of my last videos where Kate is getting into this major fallout with the babysitters and her security people and just getting really upset with everyone. Hoffman asks us to pay attention to the scene where Kate decides she's going to vacuum. It speaks volumes about Kate's relationship or lack thereof with a vacuum cleaner. I've watched John vacuum many times. I myself have vacuumed hundreds of times. I know what it looks like when someone has actually never handled a vacuum cleaner before. In this episode, you will see that Kate has absolutely no idea how to even handle the thing. In the vacuuming scene from the episode where they're all talking inside the RV and Kate is standing in the background doing nothing, her paid best friend Jamie announces that she's going to vacuum the floors. Kate's eyes light up as she gets the idea that vacuuming is something she should be doing to maintain her brand of being a neat freak. Kate totally steals Jamie's moment for herself, but it's what happens next that is so funny and so telling. Kate storms around looking for the vacuum cleaner. You know, the vacuum cleaner she told us in that very same episode she has been using to clean all of the floors every day during the trip. This is supposedly day 6 of the trip, according to TLC, and yet Kate has no idea where the vacuum cleaner even is. Once she finds it, she bangs her head and hurts herself, of course, because she's helpless. And then she grabs the vacuum and drags it violently across the rook-covered ground, banging it all the way to the RV. Besides a 6-year-old child, who would be physically incapable of lugging a vacuum that was personally yours? Who in their right mind would ever do something like that? Whether the vacuum was yours personally, or whether it was part of your RV or TLC's property, who would ever drag a vacuum over rocks rather than carry it? Kate has been telling us for several years now about how much she exercises and works out, so it couldn't possibly be that she wasn't strong enough to lift the darn thing. My grandmother used to carry her vacuum up and down 3 flights of stairs. Surely Kate has picked up one or more of her children. She had no idea what to do with the vacuum cleaner, but she sure put on a show for filming to make sure that they thought this was her reality. That's interesting. I'm going to find the clip and, all right, super short because I'm having so much trouble uploading these. We will be moving on. I'm going to try to do maybe 2 videos a day so we can get through this much more quickly. The next chapter is called You Win Some and You Lose Some. Thanks for joining me here today. I hope you'll join me again when we head down the next rabbit hole.